All right, welcome back to another very special show of Dr. J Radio Live. Because of the coronavirus, I decided to bring something uplifting today and have some fun with everybody. As you've already seen from what I've been promoting, today we have legendary entertainer and so much more than that. Activist, legal activist, and just a badass dude. And he happens to be on the phone with us, and that is the one and only Mr. Tommy Chong. Tommy, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, let's go back to prior to 2004. What was the BS that the feds trumped up against you to throw you in, prison?
Well, it stemmed from me being on right wing talk radio in St. Louis, Missouri, the home of John Ashcroft.
Mm-hmm.
He was Attorney General with George Bush. Anyway, they used to have me on talk right wing talk radio because I would upset so many people that their viewers, they got tons of views and tons of listeners because they wanted to see the hippie talk shit. And so I was on the show and I outed Danny Sullivan. You know the race car driver?
Yes, I
He was
do.
like a big name race car driver back in the 90s. Anyway, Danny Sullivan is a friend. I knew him from his girlfriend, and we had a meal together. We talked. We were friends. He invited me to to all the race car events and that, but I never made it. I was on the radio station, and I was just outing everybody for smoking weed that I'd smoked with. They'd always ask me, "Who did you get high with?" And I'd try to think of the most right wing or people that they could relate to.
You should have said the Bush
And
twins.
and
That's
so
what
I
I would have
mentioned
said.
Danny Sullivan. Well, the phones were lit up. Everybody got all everybody all pissed off, and they went nuts. And I this is just my own thinking. I'm thinking that Ashcroft heard that thing, and then they put a hit, put me on the hit.
You know what I would have done? I would have outed
Chong
the
bongs or
Bush
Chong
twins.
bongs.
The Bush twins because they smoked weed in the White House. You should have outed them. Yeah. Now, if I'm not mistaken
No,
correctly,
but they're yeah, they're kids though.
that's true. That's true.
I'd rather do some celebrity where they're gonna get all upset, all uptight. And so anyway, next thing you know, which they're going after everybody with the bong. They had me in mind because I had a bong company called Chong Bongs, and so the feds followed me around for a year, going. They never busted me for selling them. Like I'd sell them in Arlington, Texas, and all over. And that's where the narcs went undercover and recorded me. And so anyway, when they busted me in February with the SWAT team, and they had helicopters and the news people, and they had everybody, and they banged on my door, and I opened the door, and they came running in. They grabbed all the computers, and then they found some T-shirt money that I had from selling T-shirts, and they considered it drug money, and so they took that, and they just treated it like I was a big drug dealer,
Like El
and
Chapo, it sounds like.
yeah, exactly. The only thing is that it didn't scare my wife. She was really beautiful. I was kind of like weird, looking around. It was like a surreal dream almost. Because when they banged on the door, I came in my little boxer shorts and I came downstairs and the door was open, but it was a glass door and I could see them around the porch with their fight gear on. I mean automatic weapons, the helmets, the whole thing. And they had a battering ram in case they had to knock in the door. And so I opened the door and they come running in. And so they're searching, and they wouldn't tell me why they were there, and they just, we'll tell you in a minute, just get over there, get some clothes on. And so I went up to get clothes. They had a guy go with me, to make sure that I'm not going to sneak out the top window or something. I don't know what it was. Anyway, they were searching the house, and I don't know what they were. And the marijuana. And, yeah. And they said, where? I said, every room in the house. And this guy, and he said, well, just tell me one specific. He said, tell me one specific area. And so I said, well, there's a nice bud on my workbench downstairs. And so he sent a guy down there, and the guy comes back. He says, it's not there, sir. I couldn't find it. and I said, man, what kind of narc are you, man? Right,
Terrible one.
right there. And no, then he says, well, I don't have my dogs with me, sir.
Oh, geez, really? He had to rely on the dog hitting it?
Yeah, so I said, that's another thing. What kind of drug bust do you go with without dogs? Where's your dogs? I was really having fun with these guys. And so then, so they kept messing around, and finally my wife says to me, she got dressed when she found out, she's so cool. She's, come on, let's go get our coffee. And the cop says, well, we're not. The cop goes, we're not finished here yet, ma'am. And so my wife says, are we under arrest? And the guy said, no. She said, okay, well, we're going to go have our coffee. And he says, he told her, why don't you go in the kitchen and make some? And she goes, fuck you, I want my Starbucks.
No, were these feds, by the way?
So the cop, he does he says, it's a wrap. He tells everybody, it's a wrap. Okay, it's a wrap. We're out of here. And she literally ran the narcs out of our house. It was
Were these feds that came to your house?
They, I had to go to court, and they sentenced 9 months in jail.
But you were sentenced
Feds,
to
yeah.
These
were narcs.
Yeah.
They were the DEA.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because you were sentenced to a federal prison, and the only way, as a lawyer myself, that I can think of that being a possibility of why sending bongs from California to Texas is the interstate commerce law. But it's bullshit, because in 2003, 2004, those were the years that I first got my medical marijuana card in California. So how the fuck did they bring these charges against you? I mean, it's just clearly prosecution to mess with you, to fuck with you.
Oh, yeah, totally. Because I showed them my card. I had a medical card too, and they didn't take they took my weed and everything, but they didn't charge it. They kept, and they went to the factory where we made our bongs, and they literally broke the bongs.
Jesus.
They smashed all the bongs. They're like a teenage gang or something.
You know what bugs me about this?
They're just dicks. And we never shipped it to Texas. We shipped it to Pennsylvania, where the DEA was.
Oh.
And it was, and they had trapped us because they kept phoning our company, and we got the tape. And our company kept saying, "I'm sorry, sir, we can't ship our bongs there because it's illegal." And so they said, well, so what they did, they came to California, and they ordered it personally, and then they said, listen, we want to do some sightseeing, so why don't you just ship them off to us? And by then they had an undercover guy in our operation, and so the undercover guy sent them. It was all a setup.
Yeah, I mean,
we knew better.
So you didn't send it yourself. They're the ones who approached you to order it. Then they sent someone to order in person. And let me ask you, I'm assuming this tape was played in court. What the hell happened then? No, I'm assuming this was
because I couldn't fight it. What they told me, they said that if you don't plead guilty, that we're going to go after your wife and your son. We're going to keep you in court forever.
So you took the plea, obviously. So now 9 months.
Oh yeah, I had to.
Now, fortunately,
I
this
had to.
wasn't
I had no
nine
choice.
months in 80 Florence, Colorado, 80X. I mean, that's serious isolation. You were housed with another legendary celebrity, which I just recently found out about, reading up about some recent article the other day about you. In preparing for today, and I came upon this article that Jordan Belfort was your cellmate, the real Wolf of Wall Street. Now, was this a coincidence, or was this like Celebrity Row?
Yeah, a celebrity role, exactly what it was. And I helped him write that book, by the way. Jordan was busy playing tennis every day. I was writing my book, and he would come home from tennis or back to the cell from tennis. I'm writing a book. He says, "Oh, I'm going to write a book." And so, but in the meantime, he'd been telling me all these great stories every night. It was like bedtime stories, and he would tell me all the whole Wolf of Wall Street was everything he told me at night. And so I told him, when he wrote, he showed me what he wrote, and it wasn't nothing near what Wolf of Wall Street became. And so I convinced him he should write, the real stuff, what he did, and he did, and it became a big hit, big movie, and everything.
It did, and obviously I can imagine how it's Hollywoodized, especially with Martin Scorsese as the producer of that film. Anyhow, let me ask you this
Well,
as well.
that's it.
I heard that when you were having dinner akin to like the Goodfellas in prison dinner.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I was with the hierarchy, the guys that ran the prison. There's Eric Larson. He was a golf caddy that got caught up thing. They're trying to get a name golfer, and Eric was a user. He wasn't a dealer or anything, and they did the same thing to him. They went after him because he was the only kind of named guy, and they offered him. They said you can take a plea and go to jail for 5 years. And Eric was he was just a user. He wasn't no dealer. And so he fought it, and he won the first case. And so they refiled, and he never had the money to go fight a second case. And so he got 14 years.
Wow.
And
Jeez.
but while he was there, he's a brilliant guy. Yeah, he got 2 university degrees. And, he's brilliant guy. And so he ran a garden. He created this beautiful vegetable garden, and all the produce would go to the homeless in Bakersfield. But because he had the garden, he was allowed to take food for himself and his buddies, which were me and a couple other guys. And so he would cook this gourmet meal every day. Every day I had a gourmet, fresh, the healthiest meal you can imagine. It
Wow.
was and hot and delicious. And we would get chicken from the commissary, in the package, and then he'd make these beautiful burritos, and they were so good. And hot, because he had all these hot peppers. And then every Friday, he had a deal where he would go to the commissary and he'd show up with ice cream and cookies. And so we had a nice Friday night dessert. Oh, it was, we had the best time.
Sounds better than some people's vacations, honestly. Let me
Are you
ask
there?
you this. Did you actually have weed in prison?
Oh, I lost you.
No, I'm right here. Hold on a second. Let me fix this here. Can you hear me, Tommy? Tommy,
Well,
there, can you hear me?
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah, I
you.
can hear you. Yeah,
Okay, great. Yeah,
I
yeah.
can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can, absolutely. You're
Okay.
still perfect.
Uh,
So, go ahead.
I got offered weed from the first day I was in, but I knew better because they were
Ah,
trying, because it was such a bust. They were trying to have me break the prison rules, and then they could throw me in the hole, and then Tommy Chong got caught smoking weed, that kind of thing.
yeah, in
I
prison.
got offered weed almost I got offered weed almost every day.
Well,
Every day, some guy would come up and offer me weed.
speaking of that, just a few moments
About an hour later.
before we came on, I was telling you as you were in prison, I was skydiving next door, and we were constantly thinking about you being there. And we were first talking about breaking you out, and also we wanted to send some weed down
I
there.
watched you. I watched you guys.
Yeah, I guarantee you, some of the jumps you were watching me. That was me coming down.
I
Uh,
wa-
we wanted to drop
I
weed in
know.
your
I know. I
prison
watched
too.
you guys. What? Well, you know, you guys did. You got me hooked on a habit that I did while I was there, because you guys would drop in the middle of the day, almost close to sunset.
Oh, yeah, Sunset
and
Jump would be the best.
and so because of you guys, we started watching the sunset, and then it became a habit. And even when you guys weren't skydiving, uh, other prisoners would come and say, "It's almost sunset." I got everybody. There were maybe about 20, 30 of us at the end of at the end of the day. They would come and get me, and we'd all sit there and watch the sunset. And we did it every day for 3 months.
You know,
Solid months.
and I
That
bet
was
that
it.
was so majestic, especially considering some of these prisons don't even have windows.
No, no, and we were outside in the desert. It was beautiful there, beautiful. Except when the wind blew, and then you got desert fever to worry about, and then it
Yeah.
would make everybody go inside. But oh, I love the desert, man. I got the first day I was in, or the second day I was in, I was out at Eric's garden, and I missed the count. At 2 o'clock, you're supposed to be in your bunker, beside your bunk, and they do a count, and no one told me about it, or at least I didn't hear about it, and so I was out in the garden, and next thing you know, I see a CO coming across the garden, and he yells at me, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Working on the garden." He says, "You're supposed to be in there for the 2 o'clock count." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know about it." And, "Well, you know about it now." And so he marched me back in there, and then he told me I couldn't go in the garden anymore. But uh, after a couple of days, they figured, Eric had all the world, and so no, I had a, I joined the Indian Sweat Lodge Society, and so
Ah.
every Saturday we would do a sweat lodge. Yeah.
Now, when you came out, what was the state of Chong's Bongs? I'm assuming you're thriving today still, right?
No, we had to give everything up to the feds. Everything. They took $100,000. I had. It cost me $1 million
Jeez.
altogether with the money they took and the business we lost and all that. Yeah, yeah,
Now, what companies do you own now?
yeah. They broke all bonds. They didn't have to. They
Yeah.
didn't have to do any of that shit.
No, they didn't. That's
We
bullshit.
got to think about. Well, we got a Tommy Chong. It was Chong's Choice, but now it's just Tommy Chong's, and we sell chocolate edibles, THC chocolate. We sell flour, and we sell blunts. We sell the whole thing, and we're pretty big in near Long Beach, and on the outside of LA. We got some presence in LA, but we're getting our own care, getting our own dispensaries and our own grows, and so.
So
So
are
that's
you
going
are
to come
you
up.
actually
But you know what we
participating?
have to do? I'm waiting for to settle that,
Of course.
because they're so weird.
Are you actually part of the grows?
What I oh yeah. What I do, I'm like quality control.
Mm,
They
I see.
run everything by me first, and it has to be the best of the best, before I put anyone on it. But what we're looking to do, and I made some farmers and growers and that, and we're probably going to buy our own grow. And but what I want to do, I'm going to get very active pretty soon. As soon as we get rid of Orange Menace, I'm going to lobby to get one medical, because that's my plan. Because when we had medical marijuana, that was perfect.
Oh my
They
God,
can't
yes.
tax
We paid
medicine.
less. We got higher milligrams for edibles. I used to buy
But
1,000 milligram, edible gram basically for $45. You can't get more than 100 grams in an edible these days, and they're like $20.
I know, and so I want to do what I want to do is I want to make it all. I'm going to lobby with it. I got the right people around. And it'll be, because the thing is, it shouldn't be taxed. It's a medicine. It should not be taxed the way they're trying to tax. That's why they charge so much for it.
Yeah,
The
I know.
government so
And
much.
did you read the
And it's not
articles
fair.
that the
You know,
taxes haven't helped them as what they said
it,
they did?
and we're going to.
I missed that part, Tommy. Can you repeat that?
What are they doing with the taxes? No, I didn't read
Oh,
that.
well, I was saying that there was an article recently that the taxes that
I no, I didn't.
that their taxes they're receiving are not enough that they expected, which I think is complete crap because those stores are always full, the dispensaries, and you're paying such high taxes on top of it.
Well, there's leakage. You see, there's
Clearly,
leakage.
clearly.
It happened. See what happened before. You see, the feds, they would bust people, take their money, take their weed, sell their weed, take that money, and just keep doing it. And so it's the feds, the narcs and that were profiting big time off it being illegal. And then they put people in jail for no reason. It's a racist law.
Yes,
But
it really
anyway,
is.
what I'm going to do, I'm going to lobby to make sure eventually, everything has to calm down. And then they'll make more money if it's medical.
Yes,
Because
yes.
what happens, you save by keeping people healthy. You save a lot, that would go, that would normally go to help poor people that can, and that you would save big saving there. And the less, they've always found that the less you tax people, the more money you make. Because if you tax people too much, they don't pay. If you tax them a little bit, everybody pays. You see, and so that's why they're not making it. They're asking too much. They're taking too much away, and so a lot of the leakage goes out the back door with the dispensaries. So the black market is still thriving.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. Great prices too.
it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be that way. It should be. It should be so cheap that there should be no problem with it, because it's not like alcohol. See, the more alcohol you sell, the more problems you have.
True.
With the traffic accidents and the behind and all that sort of that comes with alcohol. But with marijuana, you get nothing but brilliance. We wouldn't have a computer if it wasn't for marijuana.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I heard something really interesting the other day.
We want to keep it medical.
Yes, I am with you on that one. You want to
Mm.
hear something really interesting? I just saw a clip from Joe Rogan the other
Sure.
day, which was with Be Real. And Be Real was smoking with Mike Tyson, and he said to Mike Tyson, he said, as an artist, before I go on, to do a show, a concert, he said, I would get that anxiety. And he said, I would smoke to calm down before I went. And he said, what did you do? He goes, well, they gave me a bunch of pills. And he says, like, what kind of pills? He says, oh, fentanyl and things, opioids, basically. And he says he got really, clouded in his head. And he said that,
Evil.
yeah, so he said when Be Real said, so what did you do to calm down? He said, they hypnotized
You
me.
got what? I'm sorry. You.
Be Real said, what did you do to calm down if your head was cloudy? And he said, they hypnotized me. They hypnotized him, right? And so then he said that one time before a fight, he actually...
You got hypnotized.
Yeah, before every fight. One fight, though, he actually smoked weed on top of the pills that they told him to take. And he said he was so focused on that fight more than anything else ever. So the smoking was the brilliance behind that one fight. That was the
I
moral
bet.
of the story. Yeah, yeah. There's a couple questions for you here. Let me get to some of
Yeah.
them real quick before I get back to you, of course. I answered this one in the
Okay.
chat. There was someone here. Let me find it back a while ago. It said this is Nicholas Cashmore, who's in Canada, and for all the people out there should know that Mr. Chong is Canadian born. Okay, here it is. How did you heal your body after being in prison?
How did I heal?
Yeah.
Uh, well, actually, I came out of prison pretty well. No, I take that back. I look good, but I actually had prostate cancer,
Ooh,
which I got
ouch.
in prison. Which I got in prison, and, and because I never moved for 3 years, I think that's why the cancer, attacked my body. And so then I ended up, with prostate. It was a slow growth, so they tell you don't do anything. So I never did anything. I went real holistic, and I quit drinking alcohol, and I went very, very almost vegan. But I ended up with rectal cancer,
Ah,
and
wow.
I had to have the operation. I had the I got a colostomy bag now, but as soon as I could, I started exercising. I started smoking weed right away, and so I because they put me on that oxycontin and
Mm-hmm.
all that shit, and so I ended up healing myself with weed and with CBD, and I injected CBD right into my butt.
Wow.
Almost every day I'd take a dose of CBD oil, and I was with a star. That's how I was in my late 70s on Dancing with the Stars. So that was all because of weed. That was all because of CBD oil and marijuana.
Now, how did you get selected to be in Up in Smoke about weed? I mean, was
That
it
was
just by
Cheech and I.
chance that you're an actor and you just
No,
got
no,
cast
no,
for that
no,
movie?
no. No, no, no. We wrote the movie. I was going to do. Cheech and I got tired of doing the road, and
I
so
see.
so I wrote a movie, and then our manager Lou Adler, he wanted us to do. He made the deal. He got the deal with Paramount, and it was supposed to be Cheech and Chong's greatest hits because we did the albums with Lou Adler. But Cheech and I got together and decided that we'd do, our favorite characters, which were Pedro and Man. And so Cheech and I wrote this Up in Smoke, 40-page outline, and then Lou, the right crew, Robert Altman's movie crew, who they were very good at improvisation. And then Cheech and I and Lou, we improvised a movie. We shot it in for less than less than $800,000. It was
Wow.
about $700,000.
That actually was my next
And
question. You answered it. It was going to be what was the
yeah,
budget. So that's great because at the
yeah.
time I would think
And then
film
we,
would have been in the several
yeah.
millions because now they're 200 million at least.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we snuck that in there. We got it in there real easy, and it was a lot of it was Lou Adler, because and it was a perfect storm. And the only problem is that it was the only one that we did with Lou, because we ended up breaking up over the movie because of the split wasn't fair, and so but we ended up being made whole, Cheech and I, and then we went on to do the rest of the movies. But yeah, it was Cheech and I. It was our choice. We knew what we wanted to do. Yeah.
Which was the most fun for you to make of the Cheech and Chong movies?
Oh, the most fun was the one we did in Amsterdam. Still
Nice.
smoking.
Yeah,
Still
yeah.
smoking.
Now in Amsterdam, did you actually
I'll
use?
tell you. I'll tell you why.
Go for it.
Did I what?
Were you actually smoking
No,
weed
I
in the
was.
scenes? Real
Oh,
weed because you were in Amsterdam, right? So you could,
oh,
that's great.
really? Oh, yeah. See what we did. Again, it was Paramount. They wanted us to do a concert movie, and because I was a director, I said, okay, we'll do a concert movie, but it's going to be a real movie about us doing a concert. And they said, we don't care what it is. You got $1 million, go for it. And so Cheech and I forego our big salary, and we shot a movie. So it was the most fun movie ever because all we did was redid all our record bits that we never had a chance to do, in Up in Smoke or any of the other movies. And so, like the Invisible Wrestler and all those great comedic bits, and then Cheech and we're supposed to be there because we're at a
Tommy? Tommy, you there? I'm losing your audio, buddy. Tommy. Hang on, folks. Tommy, can you hear us? Oh, we can't hear you. Don't know why.
Are you there now?
Yeah, there we go. We got you
You can
back.
hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We were just finishing talking about how fun you had making filming in Amsterdam, which obviously I could imagine as an actor, as an artist in general, that's really living the dream because you actually that's probably the closest to your actual real character in life because instead of smoking tobacco, like what I assume you did in Up and Smoke, you got to smoke weed. Now, here, there's a couple things in here for you that I wanted to say.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, of course I can. There's a couple of things
Okay.
in the chat that I want to read to you real quick, if you don't mind.
Okay.
First one. This is from Lasha Senyak. She says, oh, well, okay, this is actually to do with me and you. It says, would you be willing to go into the edible/bong business with Doc? It would be a perfect match. He could be the doctor for the medical weed biz.
With who? I didn't get the last part.
Me, Doc. That's what she said. Okay, here's another one for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, that's good to know. Here's another one. This is just a comment for you. This is from Metalhead.
Okay.
He says, I'm smoking weed listening to Tommy Chong. How cool is that? And, right? One more. This is, again, Nicholas Cashmore in Canada. Says, how are you doing with 420 all this month?
Isn't that something? 4/20/20.
Yeah, right? Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And we're going to be home smoking literally every. We've been, I just pretty much said you get a pound of weed and a bag of blow to get through. Couldn't get the blow, so I just got the pound of weed.
Yeah, well, that's all we need.
I agree.
That's all we need.
Now, let me ask you a couple other things that I wanted to ask you here. I'm assuming from what you did in starting in the 70s and moving on afterward that you've earned free weed for all your life, right? And I'm sure you've never had to buy a drink for the rest of your life, right? Tommy?
Yeah, I bought my own weed one time.
Oh, okay, one time.
I keep cutting out. Are you?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I bought my own. Well, just a minute. I got to get out of this one. My wife's in there.
Oh.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, absolutely. I can hear you.
Okay, I bought my own weed because it was in a dispensary. Well, the thing, you put money in and you get it out. What's it called?
Oh, yeah, like one of the, the machine, the glass machine that you put it in.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. I saw my joint. And it cost me $14.
Well, that's only one time, so at least you've earned over 4 decades, 42 years at least free. Now, let me ask you this: you next moved on in your career.
I get so much weed.
and it's still coming, obviously.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh yeah.
tell us how you enjoyed your time when you were on that '70s show, which lasted several seasons and was a huge success.
5 years.
Yeah,
5 years I was on it, except for the part I was in jail.
yeah, yeah. Of course.
When I was in jail, it was quite funny because they just before I went to jail, I tried to get a raise from the company, the Kersey Warner company,
Hmm.
and they refused my, and so they wrote me out of, and I got busted. Away.
Bullshit.
And so a year I was gone from the '70s show, and as soon as I got out, boom, they wrote me back in again. No raise though, and yeah, it was 5 years. We did 5 years on that show. I love that show.
I Here's another question for you. Whose idea was Father Sarducci on the first album?
Sarducci.
Sar-
Oh,
Sarduci.
yeah, Sarducci. Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember. It's so long ago.
Oh.
could have been Cheech. Could have been Cheech. Probably Cheech. I'll give it to Cheech.
There you go. Okay, Tammy George asks, has he smoked with Willie?
Yes, I have. Not recently. Way back in the '90s, um, Frank Williams Jr. did All My Crazy Friends Are Coming Over Tonight. Remember that? It used to be the football theme on NBC.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Hank Williams Jr. had a video of All My Crazy Friends, and Willie Nelson was on that video. And we had Cheech and we spent a nice a couple of days with Willie. Hanging out with him, and Willie and George Jones and all these great country. Because I'm country. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So these were all country guys that I knew. Like I knew Willie's songs before I knew Willie.
Yeah, and that's another case. Poor Willie, actually, remember when he got caught? Oh, I don't know how many kilos he had, but that was another case of selective prosecution.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's crock.
They were going to
Such a
prove a
crock.
point with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Third Phase of Moon, the world's largest UFO YouTube channel with 800,000 subscribers. Good friends of mine, cousins, brothers, Blake and Brent in Hawaii, ask, what do you
Uh-huh.
think about your character in the movies in representing pot smokers as odd and uneducated?
Well, I imagine there are a few odd and uneducated pot smokers. It's been because that's who I am.
Yeah.
I'm odd and I'm uneducated. I really, Cheech and I, when we did the movies, I made a point of making sure that we would be who we really are. I wanted to change the channel because Cheech really isn't a lowrider. Never
Hmm.
was. He was a college. He's
How did you meet Cheech?
almost a genius. You know,
How did you meet him?
Cheech was up in Canada dodging the draft, and
Oh,
I was running I was running an improvisational topless nightclub in Vancouver, Canada. Cheech got hired as an actor, and when the group broke up, Cheech and I stayed together. It was a marriage made in heaven.
Yeah, clearly. Have you guys thought about doing something, now and maybe on Netflix?
We've got a documentary that's been in the works for almost 3 years now. It's
Oh,
coming out,
nice, nice.
and we've got a few things up our sleeve. We're when we first started, we were young guys playing old guys, and now we're old guys playing young guys.
Young guys, yeah, yeah.
And the old guys we don't have that kind of energy. We don't have that energy anymore. But no, we're still going to do something. I'm not sure what it is yet.
Here's a question for you for Metalhead. What's your favorite concentrate to dab?
I'm not a dad. Teaches, by the way. Cheech,
Ah.
that's a question. That's a question for Cheech. But no, I don't. I tried. It's too hard. It was too harsh on me. My lungs couldn't take it.
Yeah,
And
I
so
coughed for a long time.
I'm a edible guy now. my wife made some edible cookies and put too much weed in there. And
Oh man, sounds like a
I
recipe
swear
made
to
for
God,
me. You know,
it was breakfast at Bernie's again.
I actually went and bought a few edibles before, but I didn't have them for the show. I figured afterwards. But I really like high dose, so I envy you right now of being in that position. Another question for you here. This just came up, literally the second. Again from Canada. What is the max
Sure.
milligram dosage you could take? How much usually?
I'm not sure.
Well,
I'm not sure
legally, they
because
now.
if I don't do enough, then I do more, and then that's always too much. So I never was a guy that even bothered with names. Like people say, "What's your fiend?" And I always tell them marijuana. That's my favorite strain.
Yeah, yeah, because you know what? I'm glad you said that because you can have, say, Jack Hare one month be the top shelf connoisseur green, and the next month it's half price because that next crop of this very same clone came out crap.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So with marijuana,
Yeah.
whatever it is. It used to be anything given to me by a naked woman, but that's years ago.
Oh, well, hey, I'm still young. I'll take that one. If you don't mind, I'll start using that one. Okay. Tammy George, whose talking McCall bird belonged to that
You got
was.
it.
Yeah. Uh, this is Tammy George says, whose talking McCall bird belonged to that was in the I think the first movie? Hold on, let me read that again. Whose talking McCall bird belonged to that was in the I think the first movie? Was it the
Yeah,
first
up in
movie?
smoke.
Got it.
I want to get high. Want to get high.
Mm.
That's what the bird says. Want to get high.
Here's
And then he gets
another one
shot. Yeah.
for Hawaii for you. Did Tommy
Yeah.
ever think weed would be legal in as many states as it is?
I never thought of it. Never even cared about it. In fact, being Canadian, I really couldn't tell you what states or anything. I have a hard time figuring out where Saskatchewan is from Alberta.
Yeah,
So
I've never
I'm not
been.
very what do you call it?
Geologically
No,
incapacitated? Geographically?
geologically, yeah.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah. Like the guy said, I'm uneducated.
I'm glad this topic came on right now because I told you earlier that when I started smoking in mid 90s, I knew that at the end of my lifetime this would be legal. I just expected it. It was kind of in the air. I met Bruce Margolin. He
Sure.
was one of the reasons I went to law school. He's just a small reason actually, but one of the influencers that I had in my life. And I expected it to be normal to, work the rounds and get it on state ballots and down the line have the feds decriminalize it from Schedule 1 to nothing, not non-scheduled. But then it started happening so fast. I remember 96 was the act came in, but I don't remember anybody that I knew in 96. But then there was that doctor in Hollywood, Dr. Eidelman. Do you remember him? The first guy to ever write a recommendation got arrested for it. That was my doctor in 2003. Did you go to him? What year
Sure,
did
I
you
know
get your
Item.
rec?
He was the guy that give Jack and I Jack Herrera called me up he said, let's get our card. So we went to Edelman, and we got a card, a paper, a letter, and we had it shrunk into a little card that you carry in your wallet. And that was the card I showed the feds when I got arrested, and they just laughed at it.
You know, that's crap. That's crap. But see, I guess legally the feds trump the states, so in that instance, that sucks. I got a super chat. Just a shout out to Rockstar and the Blue Crew, and also remember, folks, we are still mourning Nancy W. from the Blue Crew, and to all the Nancys out there from the coronavirus. We hope you're all safe, and we hope the numbers keep going down. Now, back to she's having fun, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, back to weed being legal. What do you think it's going to take? Because I know President Trump really doesn't want it to be stayed scheduled. You know, he's very pro marijuana. You know, he's been Roger Stone, was his guy to get him in the White House, and he was pro weed too. What do you think it's going to take for the federal level to get there? Because we still have a couple holdout states where it's a felony, like Mississippi.
Yeah, no, it's going to take the new president, whoever it's going to be. I think it'll be Trump. Yeah, that's all. It doesn't matter because I'll tell you what's going to happen, especially with this pandemic coming down. We're going to the whole society is going to change. I believe that the pandemic was caused by man because insisting on burning fossil fuel, and so this is the Earth fighting back, and getting rid of the like what it did. It stopped everything. It stopped travel. The air's never been cleaner. The water's never been clearer. I mean,
Yeah, we're actually having record breaking in California. Like you said, the air's cleaner. Record breaking in California and China. The whole world, this is like the way it should have been for all time. I got a super shout out real quick. This is to Justin T. Thank you, Justin T, for the super chat. He wrote a pretty hilarious super chat message, if you don't mind me reading it. So it's a joke, really. He said, "Who farted? Who farted?"
It was Dave.
There we go. Okay, another one for you. Does Tommy think more people will smoke when it is legal, or still the same amount of the population as now?
Tommy doesn't give a shit who smokes, whether it's legal or not.
I love that answer.
Not even a little bit.
Great answer.
When people start asking me, what should I do? I got this, I got that. What should I smoke? What is that? I tell them, listen, do me a favor. Google whatever question you're going to ask me. Ask the Google. They know. I don't.
You're just a consumer, not the doctor.
Exactly. In fact, I have had people, my husband has cancer. What should he do? I said, well, find a doctor that will prescribe exactly what he needs.
Yeah.
But if you want any, give you something, you can take whatever I got. Don't ask me if it's going to work or not. I have food. I don't even know what to do with myself. Let alone anybody else.
Yeah. Another one for you from Hawaii. What was the best weed you ever had, and where was it grown?
The best weed, it was a mixture. It was weed and I wrote a song right after I smoked it.
Nice.
It was the only song that got recorded, and it got it's called "Does Your Mama?" with Bobby Taylor, but I right after I smoked the joint, it just triggered something inside me, and I haven't been that. Well, no, I take that back. I've written quite a few since then, and they've all been that, not at that level, but it was a joint mixed with cocaine.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I couldn't tell you because it's changed so much. If you ask me that choice, but I'll tell you one thing: I can't even find swag these days if I wanted to. That's gone in
No.
California, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard that they're
Yeah.
importing weed from
Yeah.
California to Amsterdam too.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah, because they got a right wing idiots in Amsterdam. It's all changed. They're trying to get rid of the coffee shops and all that now.
I didn't know that. Holy shit. Because, see, I
Yeah.
was just reading,
Yeah.
because my family's from Greece, and they just passed a bunch of medical marijuana acts. And you might know this, Mexico passed
Pro-
recently medical marijuana acts as well. So they both now have it. So for Amsterdam to
sure.
scale back is a crock of shit.
Yeah. Well, that's the government. They got a right wing government in there, just like England. They got that idiot in there, and Spain is the new Amsterdam.
Yes.
Spain and
Switzerland,
where
too.
else? Spain,
Spain and Switzerland.
Denmark, Switzerland, yeah, Denmark. Yeah. There's all sorts. Ecuador, Ecuador is incredible. Yeah. It's how crooked those guys are, because like I said, like America, they want to keep it illegal so the narcs get their ill-gotten money.
Let me see if I have another question here that I missed from you. Oh, ask if he's accepting any writ for another screenplay. We ain't getting no younger. That's from Hadley Scott McIntyre.
Well, actually, like I said, I don't really. I almost did a movie. The guy sent me a script and it was so good, but the movie, it was only a half-hour little student film, and so I had to go. No. If I'm going to do anything, it has to be up to par. But no, I really don't accept anything, because it's too risky. If you accept something and then you or if you just accept it to read and then you write your own movie, you can get sued. The people say that you stole their idea or whatever. So you have to submit everything that my agent.
This one is just a
And they'll
message.
get it to me if it's worth
Good.
their while or worth my while.
Yeah, if it's good, of course. This next one is just a straight message to you. This is Catherine Frank, and she says, "Love from Vancouver, BC, Tommy."
Oh, Catherine Frank.
Yes.
Oh, love back to you, dear.
Okay.
Is she a blast from the past?
I don't know. Maybe. Let's find out. She's listening, so maybe she'll respond to that.
Well, at my age, my my old buddies are we're a funny looking bunch of people. Oh, before we go, I want to tell everybody, talk about Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
We hooked up with the game people. Are you there?
Yeah, yeah, of course. We're
Okay.
hearing.
Yeah, we hooked up. We got our own app, a game app called Cheech and Chong's Bud Farm.
Huh.
Have you heard that?
No, I have not. I'm actually going to write that down so I search that after and download it into my
You
phone.
check it out, and turn your friends onto it. It's an app, a game. Sergeant Stadenko from Up in Smoke is the bad guy, and the, you, 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 it's a lot of fun.
And I will be playing that after with my
Yeah.
edible.
It's from Vancouver too.
So
Oh,
you're
good.
doing good
Perfect.
for the economy there too. Okay, this one is from Lasha. What is the stupidest thing Tommy ever did while stoned?
Um, we turned down Lion King. The movie Lion King, the
Yeah,
Disney.
yeah.
I turned it down.
You mean for doing the
So,
voice, obviously, right?
well, being one of the hyenas. Cheech was
Oh,
one, and then they gave it to Whoopi Goldberg as the other one.
was the reason you turned it down?
But that cost me about $1 million, maybe more.
Ooh, ouch. What
The
was?
reason I turned it down is because I couldn't see Cheech and Chong doing a Disney movie.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I could see that, obviously. Well, again, Tommy, I want to thank you real quick. I want to throw in a couple plugins, and again, please stand by for after for to ask you something real quick afterwards. First, real quick,
Okay.
what's your take on UFOs?
Uh, they exist if you believe in them.
Okay, well, we'll take that answer
It's
for
according
you.
to your faith.
We'll take that answer for you because a lot of people here, I would say probably 100% of the people in the chat right now absolutely believe what they've seen themselves or what's come out lately. Now, with that being said, if you had a final piece of evidence for anybody out there who is now up and coming in their late teens or legally 21 and smoking, who still look up to you, what would you say to them?
Uh, let's see. Let's see. Always work on your midsection. Everybody gets flabby, and so do sit-ups or leg ups. That's my advice.
That's a good advice. And with that being said, where could people find you? Store?
Tommy Chong. Hey
Yeah,
man. Hey Tommy Chong. HeyTommyChong.com.
there we go. With that being said, Tommy, thanks again. Everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us for this amazing hour with Tommy Chong. And hopefully next time I could film him in person since we're both relatively close, or I can get him on Skype. So we'll catch you soon again.
Yeah. Live.
Yeah, you got it. And you know what? Several
Okay.
people haven't gotten it on the first try. Go for it. Yeah.
Ready?
Yes.
Hey, this is Tommy Chong, and I'm on Dr. J Live.
One more time, but say, hey, or I'm Tommy Chong, and you're listening to Dr. J Radio Live.
Hey, I'm Tommy Chong, and you're listening to Dr. J Radio Live.